about in compliance environments? How does AVD fit in, highly, like government environments?
Well, it'll meet the security requirements that is required for GCC or what's the other one?
GCC, right?
GVCC. Yeah. And so, in most government environments, especially with computers, you need to be able to use a CAT card. AVD is compliant with that. Other methods of multi-factor authentication. So AVD meets those requirements to allow those workers to meet those stringent requirements for the government environments that they're dealing with.
Yeah, I think it seems like it's a really good way to go with some of these environments as we're getting more into a world with CMMC and other federal requirements that are kind of ramping up. The government is starting to recognize the risk that the private sector has for them. The idea of an enclave is becoming a conversation that we didn't have a few years ago. And that's the idea that you build a small environment for a subset of your users for when they're doing the work that's sensitive. So the contract with the government and the data for that government contract, maybe it's 5% of your business, but it has a very long list of requirements. You can spin up an GCC High Office 365 tenant, tie it to a GCC High AVD tenant, and all of a sudden you have an environment where they have a desktop that can do Word, they can send and receive emails and do all the things they need to do in their very sensitive role for the government, involving that unclassified controlled information. But they do it in a space where you control all the variables. You don't have to blow up your entire environment and build an entire environment, pay those costs, because those licenses in those environments are much more expensive especially the GCC High perspective. It gets very expensive to go down that road.